Hi and thanks for joining this video. Today I would like to show you how to build REST APIs in Node.js with restify. So I've done a video on that topic a couple of years ago and I got a lot of great feedback, so I decided to take the most recent version of restify and again demonstrate how to build REST or HTTP APIs using this stack. So a couple of information about myself. My name is Thorsten. I'm a consultant at Untitled here in Germany, and if you have any question on that topic, don't hesitate, either shoot me a mail, leave a comment on the video in the section down below, or contact me using Twitter or my blog. Okay, so let's jump into our product for now. So I've created a small skeleton that we use throughout that video. And first of all, we of course need to bring in restify by using npm install. And restify has been splitted, so the main module only provides the essentials that you need to build REST APIs. And for example, there is another sub-module called restify-errors that provides you with a bunch of constructor functions that makes it easier to create error codes when talking about HTTP. Okay, so let's install those two dependencies. And besides those dependencies, I've already installed NodeMon. If you don't know it, it's a small executable that you can use to start a Node application. And as soon as you make a change to the file that you're providing as an argument over here, like index.js, then the process gets restarted. So that's great for development, but you shouldn't use it in production. That's need to be clarified. So I created a start script, so we can now execute npm start that will use NodeMon and provide our index.js as an argument. The index.js is still empty, so we will fill that in the upcoming minutes. And what we are going to build is a small HTTP API that allows us to deal with products. And those products, it's just a combination of the ID and name property, are managed by using this products controller. You can find a link in the description down below the video to that file. So if you want to do everything else on your own, just go grab that file, create a project folder as I did, install the dependencies and get started. So let's jump over that one quickly. So there's a private, so-called private method, it's under prefix with an underscore, that is responsible to find a product in the in-memory storage by an ID. And we have a method to return all products, a method to get a product by its ID, a method to create a new product and store it in the in-memory storage. And we have two methods, one to update an existing one and another one to delete an existing product. Last but not least, I use modules export, and I export a new instance of that product's controller so we can use it from the outside, so from another Node module. Okay, so restify has made of course some changes over the past couple of years when we talk about the public API, but most of the things are still valid. So if you've learned or used restify a couple of years ago, you will find a lot of familiar things. And yeah, to get started, let's just create a small HTTP server. And so it's a lot of plumbing code right now that you will write once, but yeah, let's get started with that. So restify, we can bring that in by just calling require and provide the name of the module that we want to load. And we want to bring in the errors. That's require restify-errors. Restify-errors. And we want to expose our API on a given port, and the port can either be defined by the environment using the port environment variable, or if it's not specified by the environment, we use 3000 as a fallback. So first of all, we call into restify.create server in order to create a HTTP server. This option object right here can be used to configure the server. Like, for example, if you want to expose the API directly over HTTPS, then this is the point where you have to provide your certificate and all the things you need when talking about the server as an atomic unit. For now, let's just provide a name, restify head start, and let's expose our server by calling in the listen method on the given port, and we provide a callback so we can inform the user if the API started successfully. Info API is running on port. Okay, so this is a minimum, the bare minimum. So let's try that one by calling npm start, and if I didn't do any mistake, we should see API is running on port 3000. So our API until now does nothing. So of course we want to register new routes, and restify brings us an API to, for example, register get methods. So this is every time you do a HTTP GET request, you have to, of course, specify the URL, like in our case, all products, and it's following the Node.js connect middleware syntax or schema. So we provide a method with a parameter called request, response, and a next handler. So request brings us all the information about the incoming request. Response, we can transform or create an HTTP response. And next is a callback that we use to tell the connect middleware underneath restify, hey, our method is now finished and we can hand over execution or computing to the next middleware. And this is essential, so you can register multiple methods that respond to one HTTP call. In our example, if API/products is called, right now this method over here will be executed. So we can say create a response and send HTTP code 200. And once this is done, our API or our middleware has done computing, so we say return next. How to register a second method? Either we can use server.use, or we can say, for example, we want to log all requests or incoming requests, no matter if it's our get request, post, put, delete. We want to log basic information about the request to the console. We can just use server.pre, so that's a middleware function that runs before every incoming request. Again, a middleware function, request, response, next. And we want to just print some basic information about the incoming request, like we say request.method and the request.url. And once that's logged to the console, we want to return next. So if you think about a call coming into API/products, it's first executing this method, so it's logging to the console, request.method, request.url, and then after calling next, it's handing over the execution to our method that is regenerating the response code of 200. So let's test that one. As you can see, it has restarted over here. I used Postman to test HTTP APIs like this one. So let's go to localhost port 3000 API/products. And what we should see is just a response code of 200 with no content. And we should see it on the console later on that there was a get call to API/products. We get a 200, no response at all, but we see over here get-API/products is called, has been called. Okay, now let's bring in our products controller. Let's call it controller equals require the local file products.controller, and let's say we want not only to send HTTP 200, we want also to send, of course, all products. So let's say controller.get all. Okay, let's save that, go back to Postman and execute the query again. And as you can see, we get an empty array. Remember, it's an in-memory storage, so every time the process restarts, everything's gone and we can start from scratch using the API. So first we want, of course, to be able to create new products. That's a post request. The post request should be available behind products, API/products. Again, request, response, next. Okay. So we want, in order to, or for our API should be able to receive new products from the payload of the HTTP request, the so-called body. By default, restify don't know how to deal with a body that you send, for example, as a raw or as JSON, so raw text or JSON. But there is a so-called plugin, and we just have to use that plugin by calling into server.use restify. There are a ton of plugins, and the one we are interested right now is the so-called body parser. And the body parser looks at the body of a request. It sees, hey, there is a JSON object or a JSON string, and it's constructing an object from that JSON string. And that's exactly what we want to use for creating new products. But we want to make the API a little bit more robust. So we say if our request has no body, or body has no property name, or request has no, the body of the request has no property ID, then we want to return a bad request error. And we can do that by saying return next, and right now we use restify-errors, so this one over here, and call in the constructor function of bad request error. Okay, so we are automatically now examining the incoming request. If it is malformatted or not providing the data we are interested in, then we will return a bad request error. If on the other side a name and ID are provided, we want to call in our controller and say create, and create takes just the ID. So I will use the shortcut over here to transform the ID to a number. So that's of course good for development practice, but in production you should of course verify if it is a number, and if not, also return a bad request. But it's, you know, it's just about getting the idea instead of being that tedious when it comes to validating the data. And besides the ID, we of course need a name. And let's review the controller. So create is just taking these values, creating a new product object and pushing it to the storage. So we have no response that we can return. So in our case, we just say response send HTTP code 200, which means created, and say at that point we are done. So we call in the next method. Okay, restart it over here. So let's try first getting all products. It's still empty. Let's take the URL, switch to a post method, and provide a body of type JSON, which is an ID of 1 and a name of milk. And let's hit send. API prod. Oh, I did a mistake. It's products, not. So I misspelled the API, the URL. So let's try it again. There we go. 201 created. Let's again query for all products. There we are. There's milk. So here was a little mistake, but at the end we got it up and running. Next, we want to read the product by its ID, and let's get API/products, don't do the mistake again, and provide a parameter called ID in the URL. So this is a kind of the dynamic part of the URL, and we want to extract that one right now in order to find the product. So if request params.id, if that's not specified or something invalid over there, we want again to return next new errors bad request error. And in all other cases, we say const product equals controller.get by ID. It takes our ID, that's plus request.params.id, and we want to say response, send the HTTP code 200 along with the product, and say return next. So if we review get by ID right now, get by ID, it's calling into find product by ID. And if we provide an ID that's not matching any of the objects in the storage, we throw an error over here. So how do we deal with that? Well, we can easily catch that error. So let's say try catch error, error. If something bad happens, we come into that catch block over there, and then we want to return next with a new errors.not found error, and we provide the error as an argument, so it's generating a nice looking error method over HTTP. Okay, so let's review that one. We are calling that one, we are returning it with 200 if we found a product, and we are saying, hey, our middleware is done. If there is an error, we return a 404 along with some basic information about what happened. Let's try that. So first of all, let's read all products. That should be empty right now. Let's create the milk product again. Let's read again all products. And now let's say get product with ID 1. There is our milk. Let's try to access product with ID 2. And we get a 404 not found, and the cause of the error is product not found. Okay, so we have reading, we have creating. Now let's take care about updating. That's a put, and we want again to put a specific product request response next. And over here we again make some housekeeping. So let's take this one. So if the ID is not provided in URL, we want to return a bad request, and of course we want to check if request.body is defined and if request.body.name is defined, because that's the only property we want to change during an update call. But if everything is fine, we say const product equal controller update, and update gets the ID. So that's request.params.id, and we got request.body.name. And again, we want to send a HTTP 200 along with the product, and we say return next. The update method over there is again calling find by product by ID, so that may again throw an exception. So try catch error, and let's say return next new errors not found, and provide some metadata about what happened. Let's try that one. Let's start over here with this one. No, where is it? Nothing in there. Let's create a new one. Let's read all again. We get 1. Let's try to get that one. Yeah, that works. So, and right now let's create the put method. And let's provide a new name for our milk. And again, instead of milk, we have to buy some soda. Let's send that one. We get HTTP 200, we get a modified object back. Let's try to get a list of all. And as you can see, we have soda right now over there. Last but not least, I want to show you how to delete that one. That's the del method, again, API/products for given ID, request, response, next. And we want to, again, just check for the incoming ID. We want to call in controller.delete, and we bypass request.params.id. Delete is also calling find product by ID, so it's the same again. We say try, we catch the error, we return next, new errors dot not found error, provide the metadata, and in the case of successfully removing the product, we say rest send 204, which means no content, and return next. And there's a semicolon missing over there, and let's try again. No product is there. Let's create a new one. The new one is in the list. That's only the new only the one object. Let's modify to soda. Let's read all again. Okay, and now let's delete that one. Get a 204, no content. Let's go back to list of all products, read it, and there we are again with our empty array. So as you can see, restify is quite straightforward. It's easy to use, it's easy to remember because all the things are quite similar to each other, and using submodules like restify errors make your code a little bit more readable. I always try to encapsulate the controller so that there is no request response thing inside of my functional controller. That's something that you have to decide when building HTTP APIs. I personally like to separate the HTTP stuff from the real feature implementation, which is the product controller over there. So thank you for joining. All the code will be up on GitHub, and you will find a link to the complete repository down below in the description. So please leave a thumb up, leave a comment, and let's start a discussion on that one. Thank you.